Get your day started right. From our shack to yours, this is Coffee and Ham Radios. We are live in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are live.
Just in case you guys didn't know that already. Hey, everybody, this is Coffee and Ham Radio's Saturday morning edition. We have an esteemed guest here. Let me put him up in the proper spot. And he's going to talk to us about the DXPedition to Bouvet Island for 3YOJ. And there was a lot of stuff that went right. There was a lot of stuff that went wrong. And we're going to kind of unpack all of that and talk about some lessons learned and talk about the DX Code of Conduct probably at least once or twice during the show. How's everybody doing this morning?
Great.
Doing well.
Thank you.
Oh, doing well.
Thank you for
All
the
right,
invitation, guys.
Yeah, definitely love to have you here. Love to have you back because you had come on the show and talk to us before the expedition, and it was pretty interesting to hear how things were going to go. And you know, I was a big supporter of that, and I actually kind of am interested in doing a DXPedition, but I already have cold weather here, so we'll wait till something sunnier pops up.
You could try something in the Caribbean or something in the Pacific. You know,
yeah,
warm, so you don't have to go to the extremes.
Maybe the Sahara Desert in July.
St. Martin, St. Lucia, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, so jump around. If you're gonna come down this way, let me know. I mean, I'm halfway across. I'm right in the Caribbean, so I can jump in and join you. So
we got a place to stay.
Oh,
now.
Definitely.
Oh, you're gonna
definitely.
You got a place to hang out. Absolutely.
His wife
Definitely.
is gonna love that. Hey, baby, I'm having 10 of my favorite friends over. We're gonna all stay here for a week and play
My
reggae.
internet
Crash
my
on the
internet
couch.
ham friends.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got.
I mean, they seem okay on camera. I don't know.
Right.
We got a lot of floor too, so that kind of helps.
Yeah.
You guys need to places to crash, so it's all good.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, do you need to see us from the waist down? Because that might be a deal breaker.
Nah, it's all right.
Good morning, TC Fitz. Thank you.
Thank you.
This is the part where we dance. Oh, look. Otis knows the drill. He's been here
Otis knows
before.
the drill.
Excellent. Thank you, TC Fitz.
Thanks, TC.
TC, appreciate it.
So, Otis, let's just jump right into this. You got a presentation you wanted to show, some stuff you wanted to discuss.
Absolutely. Let me blow it up here and see if we can get it to work, and then give you a little brief about what happened. And so let me know if you can see the screen here. Please.
I can. Yep.
We got it.
Excellent. So. Just a brief talk about what the 3Y0J at the expedition. You know, originally it would happen earlier this year in January, February, and it was quite an adventure to the remotest uninhabited place in the world. So think about that for a second. Now, where is it exactly? So if you look at the map here, you know it's a little island which is basically about 1,600 miles south of Cape Town, and then also 1,000 miles of north of Antarctica. So it's quite a remote place. I mean, it's kind of hard to get there. It's really no infrastructure. There's no gear, no ships come around. It's very, very inaccessible, essentially. So that's a picture of what it looks like.
We got to dance now, Otis.
Okay. I got my dog, too, if he wants to dance.
We like dogs. It's all right.
Dogs are good.
He needs some milk.
Steve, thank you.
Actually, there's a guy delivering flowers right now at home. So.
Oh, you are working it. You're working it, son.
Right, that's right. Come here, buddy. Let me show you these guys. All right. So this is what the island looks like. This is my dog Bracket. You know, nice little red poodle here. So
Nice.
Go there.
He's got people to bark at. He's off.
Yeah, I got the local QRM is pretty wild. So, it's essentially the island was discovered by the French, Bouvet, back in 1739. And what's fun is that he never actually landed on it. You know, he saw it, put it on maps, and it basically remained lost at sea for about 200 years. I mean,
So what you're saying is even he knew better.
Yeah, exactly. So,
Nope.
yeah, so it's basically like that. Well, all right, I'm going to have to, can you, I'm going to be right back. Sorry, guys.
Sure,
fine.
sure.
One second.
We are professionals. We can make this happen. So, what are we going to talk about, guys?
Well, we need to talk about next week. That is the elephant in the room.
Ooh, yeah.
It's the ham fest, right?
Yes, it's the Ham Fest. Are we about the shows. I swear, it's like playing cards.
We are
with
not.
kids.
We are not.
You could
the
stop
toy
playing games and just talk about it, Jim. You
Well,
don't need to.
I was trying. It's like, are you even conscious yet, Steve? You need some coffee there, buddy.
I got so much coffee, it's ridiculous. I'm good to go.
I actually brought reinforcements today as well. Go ahead, Ape.
He's got the ducks back there. So next week there's going to be no show on Thursday, and you may get a random pop-up live stream on Saturday, but we're not going to have a scheduled show. So what I would suggest for everybody is just go watch reruns of the Clubhouse. Since Joe Benson, I figure I'd give him a plug.
Yeah, definitely. Our brothers in RF.
I'm back here, guys. Can you see the presentation? Excellent.
We got
Yes, sir.
Beautiful. All right. So sorry about that. It happens to be that the delivery guy decides to, deliver the flowers at the same time that we're starting our presentation. So stuff happens.
That jerk.
It's like the cable guy. The cable guy's going to show up when you're in the bathroom. That's going to happen.
Exactly. So back to the island. What was really fun. What's really interesting about this, it remained lost at sea for 200 years. And then it was, roughly a little bit less than 100 years ago when the Norwegians actually set foot on the island in 1927. That's when they claimed it for Norway. Now, the thing, it's covered essentially by snow and ice. It says an average of 300 storms a year, sometimes reaches up to 100 miles an hour with wind gusts. I think it might actually be higher. We were anchored off, near the island, and while we were doing the operations, roughly a little bit over 2 weeks. And it was essentially just one day of maybe 6 hours of clear weather, and that was it. Besides that, it was just windy and the swells and all that. But I'll show you. It's a volcanic island, roughly about half the size of Manhattan, and then along with the other Norwegian dependencies such as Peter Island in the Antarctic. Then you got Jan Mayen and Svalbard up in the north. So it's also an iota, ANO002. So no humans, lots of penguins, fur seals, whales. It's just the pristine location. And what's really interesting, like if you go to an island somewhere in, Caribbean or somewhere closer to civilization, you always see trash that, in the beach, that it's out in the water, that's been, here we saw nothing. I mean, not a little piece of paper, plastic, bottles, none of that stuff. So it's really, really, really far remote. When you look at the island, essentially, where it says 3Y0J, that's Cap Fie. That's the part where we're going to land. Up on the left, on the east side, which is where the old weather station by the Norway, where they kept it. This station is abandoned. I mean, it's been abandoned for probably more than 20 years almost. And that's the only area where we cannot land because of, landslides and rocks falling and stuff like that. So anywhere else in the island we could go. So the idea was, where can we actually attempt to do a Zodiac landing? And that's why we chose Cap Fie according to maps. The Norwegian teams, they talked to people that have been to the island that work for the government and trying to figure out what would be the best place that we could actually attempt. So a little bit about the history of the expeditions. The first expedition, 1977, 3Y3 Charlie, only 28 QSOs. And then all the way to the last one, which is ours, we did 1,800, 600, and 23 Qs. Now, what's really interesting, this is the first private expedition to Bouvet that's successful. 4 years ago, there was 3Y0 Zulu, which they attempted. They reached the island. They were anchored for about 3 days. They had a problem with the engines, and they had to abort. And the other, after that, I think it was about a year later or maybe 2 years after that, 3Y0I, and they left out of Cape Town. But they were out to sea about 5 days into it. They hit a big storm and damaged the ship, and they decided to abort and come back. So the one that you have here, 3Y5X in 89, 47,000 Qs, that's the record of the island. But this was there was some hams that were attached to a government expedition. So this is that's kind of like a big highlight of what we were able to accomplish there. See a picture on the right side? It's the first DXPeditions. And actually, those guys were standing at Cap Fie, which is where we actually landed and we were there for. So this is part of the team, the co-leaders up in Norway, Ken, Rune, and Erwin. And then the rest of the team, Adrian, Axel, Bill, Caesar, Dave, Yermund, also Norwegian, Dr. Mike from Texas, Pete, and myself. But before we it's been over 3 years in planning. This is back in April of 2022 when we did a site visit. We wanted to test the equipment, the tents, make sure everything's labeled, easy to install, and we had to do some testing in preparation for our expedition. So the day came early January. I actually left home January 8th, I believe, and then all the team members starting flying, and we were to meet in London for our flight to begin there. The farthest, I think it's probably Arizona. Bill was from there, or either him or myself. I was actually the closest to Bouvet, but had to travel the farthest. Yeah, which kind of doesn't make sense.
Had to go the other direction, right?
Yeah, exactly. I got to go to Europe to go to South America. Don't make sense. But here's the problem, because the only way to reach Falkland Islands would be from Chile. The problem is that flight is only once a week. So Falklands is known to be very windy. So if they cancel our flight, then we'll be in Chile for a week, and that's a disaster. So the other alternative would be taking a military flight from UK, because there's a military flight based in the Falklands. And that flight is twice a week. So we had a better chance in case of delays. We won't be delayed as much. So we all gathered there. Everybody arrived. This is the Grand Royal Hotel where we all stayed for 2-3 days while we were gathering there. We had a nice dinner with some of the CDXC members out of UK. They came from Scotland, all over the country just to hang out with us and meet us. And then, the whole team, we started to meet, do the final preparations, getting acquaintance, and just working there. There's a group picture here on the left. And then you see the gentleman in the back with the red hat is Peter. He's not a ham operator, but he's actually our guide, tour guide. He's an Arctic explorer, sailor, captain, so he's the one that designed the landing plan. And I think without him, would have been impossible. I mean, we're radio guys. We're not Arctic explorers.
Hams on frozen hamsicles on the beach.
Exactly.
That's what could have happened.
Exactly. You know what? I mean, give us a radio, we do our thing, but don't tell us how to, move a boat or tie rope or whatever. So you see some of the bags that we carry. So this is like our personal bag, because we already had a bag that was stored in our container that went from Norway all the way now to Falklands. So everybody had 2 bags, and some of them were carrying other stuff, as computers, Starlink satellites, stuff like that. So it's pretty cool. So we get to London. Once we're done, the next day we have to go to Bryce Norton. It's a Royal Air Force base. It's roughly about 2 hours northwest of London. It's kind of weird because it's not your typical airport experience. So we get there right outside the gate. We have to register, give your passport. They check, make sure it's all legit. Then they tell you to wait in this little room here, where it wasn't much space. We had to cram our stuff, and there was also other civilians that were and contractors and people that were going to fly with us. So they come out, they say, okay, you can go now. You grab your stuff, you walk and cross the gate, and then on the other side there's a bus where you have to load all your stuff, and then pack everything. It drives about 5-6 minutes, and you get to the terminal itself. So the flight was scheduled for 1 a.m, and we had to be there around 8 at night, or probably earlier, because it's a long process, and the same people that check you in are the same people that do the security, and are the same people that board you on the plane. So it's not like a typical
and the pilots.
airport. The pilots, no, the pilot, thank God they were already in the plane. They weren't doing any of this stuff. Yeah, so we get there, we check our bags, everybody's doing the line, we have some time. This is a place where there's no alcohol, so there's some storage. You could not bring any of that. And time for pictures, getting to know each other, and then from there, we got on a plane. It's a Airbus 330 from Air Tanker, which is the company. It's me and Dave on the left. I mean, Dave was pretty lucky guy. He got 3 seats for himself.
Are those stairs on the aisleway? Does it go down multiple levels, or
no, it's just one. Yeah, it's just one. On the right, what you have is a bed for patients. Medical patients.
Okay.
So the hospital in Falklands is small, but if there's some complications, they need further treatment. They would use this transportation to be able to go back to London for further treatment. But it looks like a pretty all economy. No luxury, none of that. So our flight began London, and then we did. It was about 6 hours. It actually delayed. It left around 2:30 in the morning, so we got to Cape Verde roughly around 6 in the morning. So 6 hour flight from there. Beautiful days, tropical, and over the terminal you have to walk down the stairs. You go to the terminal, then you do security again, and then they do they wait about 2 hours, and then after 2 hours, roughly around 8 in the morning, you get back on your plane. They were doing refueling, crew exchange and things like that. And then from there on, we took the long flight from Cape Verde to Falklands. It was a 10-hour flight, so altogether the flights were 18 hours. And then once you get to there's Mount Pleasant air terminal, and then of course, just like you go into a different country, you have to do immigration. They ask you if you carry any fruits or things like that. And it's from there we took a bus ride, roughly about an hour. And the cool thing about Falklands is that part of the island is so remote. I mean, you see a farm every couple miles scattered around, a lot of sheep and things like that. So from there, and then we finally reach our Port Stanley, which is the main town, and then that's where we met our ship, the Marama, which was waiting for us. It had arrived the day before. So it's essentially 101 feet sailing catch, aluminum. So it's a French boat, French skipper, French crew. It has many years of sailing experience. The crew itself, it's very experienced. But this ship, actually, the captain bought it in 2020. It was a private ship out in Antigua, but then he bought it, he refurbished, he put heat, he made some more cabins, and he made it as an Antarctic type of ship. So what it does is that normally it would go from Ushuaia in Argentina, and then it would go down to the Antarctic Peninsula during the season for tourism. So that's kind of like what it does. So then this ship is a great sturdy ship. It was rock solid, and the idea was to try to load the ship. We already had our guide had inspected it twice. He had an idea of where he was going to place every item. So from there, we're going to do on our first sail up to the island, and then from there it was 10 days return trip from Cape Town to South Africa. This is when we were arriving. Everybody there. This is our first challenge. This dock was kind of high, I guess, so we all had to kind of climb down. That's when we met our crew. On the left is Nina. She was our cook, our sailor. She would handle a lot of tasks. And then Charles, which is the guy in the middle, he was the first mate. So we'll gather, we're sitting around. This is what the dining area looks like. And then I think we were fooled because the first night we were there, she served us steak. So we were wondering, we got our first night here and they're giving us steak. We're for a treat, but she was fooling us. I'll tell you that. But it was, she was very, very great, hardworking people. These people were amazing. So it comes to the point, right outside the dock, there was our container that was shipped from Norway. We had to sort everything out, label everything. We had a forklift to move the stuff over to next to the ship. And then this is when the hard part begins because, we have so much stuff, 6 tons of equipment that we have to fit in this 100 feet ship. So everything was planned. This is what a room looks like on the left with some of the cans. And then on the right, you see all the barrels. That's the dining table. So half of our room was covered by equipment. We were, the bathrooms were covered, to floor to ceiling. There's a sauna that was covered. I mean, under the beds, everywhere. We only had 3 bathrooms available for everybody instead of the usual 5 or 6 that the ship has. And then, we took us 3 days to load. While we were there, we got some time refueling, getting all the last, go to the supermarket, our last stuff. We got a chance to hang out in the Falklands. It's actually pretty cool. There's a museum there, the Historic Dockyard Museum. It has a whole building dedicated to amateur radio, which is very important in Falklands because it's so remote that they would actually teach school to the kids out in the farms with ham radio. They would use ham radio for medical consults. So imagine yourself, you're talking to your doctor over the 2-meter repeater or whatever. Hey, dog, I can't go to the bathroom. What's going on? And the whole community knows about your problem. Kind of weird, There's no HEPA.
They already do
compliance
anyway.
or stuff yeah, exactly. So kind of works like that. Well, there's a picture there on the right side. Us, the crew, and went with the local hams. They were great people. They were really helpful. We also had some time to do a local interview. This is the local TV channel, and Ken on the right is talking about how, about the whole radio part. And then Peter on the left, he was going to talk about the whole planning and expeditioning and type of thing. So, after that, we loaded our container. Last day, got our stuff, finally stopped by a little pub there, had some our last beer. And then after that, we took a little ride back to our ship, which was on the other side. And then time to get some photo ops with our the whole team on the bottom, and then the 3 crew. It's just it's kind of amazing. It's a big ship for only 3 crew, so that's kind of they do a good job. And then you see on the far across the water, that's Port Stanley there, all the houses and where everybody lives. So we're ready. Before we left, we had to do our security briefing. That's Peter showing us how to wear survival suits, putting it on, talking about all that. We had our equipment ready, satellite phones. We had new ICOM radios that they have, which is kind of cool. It's like if we had 4 radios of those. So we had our pilot in Norway had one, our pilot in New York had one, and then we had 2 of them, the ship and the island. And the idea is it works kind of like a repeater. So you're using Iridium satellite, and it's all within all 4 of us. As soon as you turn it on, you're able to communicate just like a HD essentially. So that proved really helpful as well. So, and then from there on, we began our first sailing. We left from there on, and then we had a little watch and a schedule that we had to do. We actually had to steer the ship for a while. This is the schedule. It was an hour and a half, teams of 2. Now the problem is you're going and the weather keeps changing, and there's also a risk of icebergs. Now that's a big iceberg there on the right. So the idea was having somebody steer and having the other guy watch around, even though they had radar and they'd be able to pick it up their radar. But it's just a step to make it safe. So it's kind of like definitely what it looks like on the inside. That's Nina with some of their winter gear, and that's our kitchen, where she did most of the meal. Picture there on the lower, you see me and Cesar and I, we're sitting down, and that's you see all the barrels and stuff tied up. And then that's our room my room on the right side. I had the top bunk, and then Ken was in the bottom. So it wasn't no Norwegian cruise line or anything like that, not luxurious or anything like that, but very efficient. All the space was perfectly enough to fit us and to be able to work. And then some of the meals, we had little bowls that everything was used for our breakfast, for lunch, and dinner as well. So we started sailing, and then this is a view of the Southern Oceans. Very calm. It was, you could see the skies, beautiful evenings. I mean, it was clear as beautiful. But we started to go south because that's the shortest route around the globe to Bouvet. And then it starts to get more cloudy, starts to get more windy and all that. This is the same iceberg I showed you. And you can see in the far back the mountains of South Georgia, BP8, which is when we came really close, you were able to see the island. And then, we had no internet. We were just doing our shift. Every day looked like the next day. But somebody said, hey, why don't we just, put a dipole or something up there, and we start playing some radio. So we managed to operate, about 5,600 QSO while we were there giving out grids. And the cool part, we were joking, was, we're gonna hand out an award. So to see how many people can work all of the Bouvet operators. So it's Mike on the left with the Elecraft shirt, doing some CW, Cesar on top, and then since everyone is French as well, so he had some time to teach ham radio to Charles, tell him about what it's all about, and they were talking French, of course, so they got really acquainted. So one day, January 31st,
nice.
We reach Bouvet. So this is a picture of Bouvet. Actually, we landed the night before, 10 p.m. or whatever. And then our instructions were tomorrow, everybody's up at 4 o'clock in the morning. We're going to start prepping. And so it's cloudy, windy, it's a mess out there. And then we're doing a briefing around 9 in the morning. That's when the skies kind of cleared up. So this is a picture of what Bouvet looked like for the, 20 minutes that it was like this. But the rest of the time, it was kind of weird.
Deceiving.
Yeah, it fools
This will
you.
be
Guys,
fine.
oh yeah, Bob's your
You
uncle.
look
We
at
gotta be
this, you're like,
radioing.
this is beautiful. So let me show you. I'm gonna blow up this movie here. I hope you can see it. And then I'm gonna play this little video. So to give you an idea how how it looked on the seas over there, the movement and all of that. So this is that morning. And
You probably
then,
have to share that video out
Yeah.
specifically.
We're not seeing that window.
which I don't.
Down
want
at the
to-
bottom, there's an option to present and then share videos.
Okay, so share.
Or you can pick the window.
Video file.
Yeah, video file. That'll work best.
Oh, but it's online, so maybe a different window. Let me see. Share screen, and I have to select the. Yeah, this one. There you go. Can you see it now?
Yep.
It's coming.
All right. There you go.
Is that about 20 degrees of
With
list?
all that
on either
rocking,
side?
I would be leaning over the edge, chumming.
Oh, that'd be so much fun. I'd get it all on video for you, Ape.
I know I can count on you.
Yep. So that's what it was. Kind of like what it looked like, on the whole. So it was like that constantly for the whole time. So it's pretty interesting. It's deceiving, but as you can hear the wind, wind is always constant. Cap Fear, the good part of the island, it's in the southeastern part. So, most of the time the winds are coming from the northwest. So we're protected by the island. So this is what the camping site that we're planned for. Now, this is a picture from a couple years before. I don't know exactly. Look at the size of the beach. Okay, you see on the right some penguins, seals, and stuff like that. Now, you see a little waterfall on the right?
Mm-hmm.
Can you see it? Okay, so keep that into perspective. You see, because this is not what we found when we got there. Okay, So you think about this big beach, and we're like, oh, no problem. We'll grab a Zodiac. The waves don't look that crazy. So we just, land, beach the Zodiac. We get off. We do that, bring equipment, all that. Yeah, piece of cake, no problem. But we're looking at the cliff. We're thinking, okay, we're going to have to climb eventually. So we brought climbing equipment, all the things like that. So, the same day around midday, see how the weather starts turning? It's kind of cloudy now. So we got on the Zodiac with the first 4 people to get to the island. And then now take a look at the picture on the left. Can you see the waterfall?
Yeah.
Okay, that's the same waterfall that you can see here. So look at how much beach is eroded.
You ain't got no beach.
You ain't got no beach, exactly. It's all a bunch of
Wow.
rocks. So we're like, okay, so how do we do this now? So the good thing was, at least the glacier kind of receded. So we're expecting that. So we didn't have to use any climbing equipment or things like that. We just put the big stair, like you see on the ladder on the left side. So you put the ladder, you just climb the ladder, and then from there on, you just keep walking up the cliff. So no need to climb. But the problem was that there was no beach. So how are we going to get our equipment? Now you see on the left side, upper left, you see some ropes and a pulley system. So it was a loop system that was designed so that we'd have to anchor that, and then from there on, you'll be able to pull in the Zodiac and then pull it out as you do. So we're sitting there trying to figure it out, how we're going to do this, and then we decided to attempt, and then to get to our landing stage, some of the first ops that made it to the island. They set up camp up there. Actually, you could see the ladder if you look at the waterfall right there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just to the
You see
right
it?
of the
Okay.
waterfall.
So this is a picture from the Marama. I remember I took this picture. You could see our camp there. You could see the antennas, and then you could see the ladder. So the problem was there was no beach. So on the right side of the screen, that's where we do the beach landing. And then you have to walk the whole beach, get up the stairs, walk between the glacier. And then if you could see my mouse here, can you see the mouse?
Yeah.
Okay, so you come in here with the Zodiac, walk all the way here, the seals are in the middle, and you kind of have to move around. You get up
And-
here on the ladder, you go
and seal
right in
poop.
between here, and then from here you go down here, there's a little river, and then from here you go straight to camp.
I'm
It's
gonna
kinda-
say by the time I walk that far, I'd be tired. I'd be like, y'all need to go. I want to go
Oh,
home.
absolutely.
Take me
And
home.
then-
That's too much
Yeah.
walking.
And then, the problem was that when we did our first attempt, these guys were there, they had some equipment, the weather deteriorated so quickly that they weren't able to retrieve them for 4 days. So they were out there, no heat. They had some tents, and then and after the fourth day, that's when they decide to come back to. We were able to have a weather window, bring him back to the ship, let him rest, and then we had to replan because we were supposed to take big generators, lots of antennas, stuff like that. 6 tons of equipment, but with the weather conditions and the infrastructure, it was impossible. So we decided to make it a downscale operation. So instead of using Yagis and stuff, we decided, okay, let's try to do some wire antennas. Vertical, so we had wires from 10 to 30 meters, so that's why we had to cut down our operation. And then instead of being the big generators, we only had a small Honda little 2,000 kilowatt generator, which was originally intended for our tools, for drilling equipment, for the winch motor. So we had 3,000 liters of diesel that we were disposed, but we only brought 30 liters of gasoline. Because it was not meant to be used, but the ship had another 20 that they gave us, so we had 50 liters of gas to be able to do our operation. So this is but once we're up there, this is what the camp looks like. You see the beach down there, and then of course it snowed, it'd be windy. You had to secure the tent. We had to bring rocks and tie around, make it super secure, and this is what it looked on the inside. This is what the Bouvet Hilton turned out to be. It's Mike and Bill there laying down, taking rest. So with the whole adventure, we're trying to get our Zodiac. The Zodiac breaks. We had to repair it. It would wash off the anchor line. So we actually lost a tent at sea when we were trying to get it. Yeah. So we ended up only having one tent. So the idea was just one tent, 8 operators, and then no chairs, just 2 radio, 100 watts, 2 wires. And then if a weather window comes, then the next operators will come to the beach. We'll do operator swap, and then we'll continue the operation as long as we keep gas. So this is some of the meals that we had to eat. You see on the upper right is a big pallet of food that of the MREs that we there. So we had to heat the water, and then put the water in that little bag, take it around, and then that was breakfast, lunch, and dinner right there.
Delicious.
You see everyone serving food, and you can see Ken in the background operating CW.
So no caviar, steaks, and lobster being served on the
Oh,
island.
not at all, man. No. And we didn't get some. We tried fishing out there while we were waiting, but it was weird because it's not the typical waters. I mean, it's cold, so the fish are kind of different. So they got a little fish that time, I remember. And then we asked the crew, "Hey, are we gonna eat that?" And they said, "Well, I don't know what it is. We'll look it up and we'll try it. And if it's good, we don't get sick, then we could fish some more for you guys." But I guess it probably wasn't tasting good because they didn't fish anymore after that. So
you definitely want the crew doing the taste test.
Exactly. Right. So we're
like,
like,
they can get sick, no big deal.
Right.
Yeah,
it could be like Lost.
No, yeah, there's 3 of us. We, so I guess one of the guys tried it just in case he gets sick. We'll have the other 2 crew to take us home. And then so this is what it looked like. The poles that we had to put, the antennas, wires, and then we had a vertical for 30 meters. And this is what the shack looked like. No chairs, sitting on the floor, face to face, 2 Elecraft K3Ss, and then there was 1 hour operating, and then you get 9 hours of maintenance, camp maintenance, or you do all the other stuff. So this is our neighbors up there. Some penguins that were up on the mountain itself. Actually, they were there. They had a little colony, and just hanging out. So last day comes. The decision that we had to do was, we're running out of gas. The generator is not behaving properly. We have to fix it. It's just giving a hard time. So we had a weather window that was coming next day, and we had to make a decision as a team whether we'll finish up the operation and go home, or if we're gonna do an operator swap and then continue and try to bring another diesel generator into the island. And then because the problem was that right after that window, there was really, the next 6 days were miserable weather. So if we were to, do an operator swap, we could not get them out for the next 6 days. So, it was kind of tough. So the team finally, we had a big, lengthy discussion and realized, okay, so let's call it quits. So next morning, we took advantage. These were the 8 operators that were operating on the island. They took some pictures, and then the next day we started to bring down the camp, and that's when the most beautiful day that we had while we were there
Was the day you were leaving?
Yeah, so that's when I finally got a chance to, even though I did not get to operate on the island, that's a chance when I got to finally get to the island and help. Some guys were really tired, so it's like, you know what, the first Zodiac, go back, start resting, and then Yerma and myself, we finally came to the island and start packing and getting all that. So this is after we packed the whole morning, this is about 4 hours after that. You see on the top there, the camp's already down. Some penguins down here chilling. And then as you were the 4 last hams to set foot in Bouvet for God knows how many years, probably 20 years, 25 years till the next expedition to the island comes around. So at the end of the day, 1,800, 595 Qs. The good thing about these numbers is that we were able to work about 8,654 unique stations, which was, pretty rewarding. I mean, if we would have done 100,000 Qs, then I'm sure it would have been a lot easier. But during the struggle, only 100 watts, wire antennas, it was very, very difficult. So always the advantage, Europe, having the north and south path, they had the most Qs. Next coming up would be Asia, a lot of JAs. And then after that would be North America, which is a very low number that we would have expected. Now, we
That's quite a curve. That's quite a drop off too.
Yes, and the thing, we had the mountain in the back, which did not help, but also 30 meters was probably the money band. And the last 2 evenings, our generator died, so we're not unable to operate. And that would have been at least probably 2,000 or 3,000 more Qs for North America itself. So, but we'll see. That's part of the challenge. But we're happy that we're able to activate the island and operate like that. So
it looks like CW was the mode to go with. If you were trying to make a QSO, CW gets it done.
Yes, CW. And the thing was, because, we're going to go light, no FTA. We said, just CW, maybe a little phone, but we just want to, go in there, make it really hard, get as much as we can and go out. But it get to a point where the propagation wasn't there, and then we started to do FTA, and then but SSB was, the weak. So CW was the mode. And some of the operators were only CW operators, and they were really, very good managing pilots, and they were able to operate. Now, we had some challenges. For example, even though the island was quiet for radio purposes, no noise, none of that. So even though we could hear you a lot better, you could not really hear us. So it took a lot of time when we were like, hey, KM9G, you're 5'9", and then we're waiting for your response. And then we came, Kilo Mag 9 Golf, Kilo Mag. So we would shout, 4 or 5 times till you finally come back and we log you. So that was, the challenge and the whole, trying to get it to make the Qs. Plus, on top of that, the QRM and the pirates and all that other stuff. So from there on, we packed up. Next day was bad weather, so we had to wait, prepare our ship, and then the day after we started to sail back, and then our route from Bouvet all the way up to Cape Town. So we finally were in the southwest. We told the captain, "Hey, captain, can you go so we can circle the whole island?" And it was waves of 30 feet, 35 feet. It was miserable. And we tried to take a look at the base, at the west side of the island, but it was so foggy. We saw a little glimpse of a structure or something that we weren't really sure. So we sailed back 10 days. We were reaching Cape Town. This is Ceres-1 S and Ceres-1 JJ, I believe was his call, at the ship welcoming us. He's taking a picture of us, and here I'm. We're taking a picture of him. And that's some of the Cape Town on the far back. So back then, now you can see shores. The weather kept getting warmer as we kept going north. And then once we get there, we finally found the pirates. They were all over their airwaves, but they were,
nice.
That's a ship full of pirates right there.
That's right. Yeah, I guess that's where we finally found it.
They must have escaped from Disney or something.
Yeah, so your ship that you took down there, were you operating under sail power the whole way, or were you under diesel power, or what?
Yeah.
How'd that work?
Both of them. No, the days where we had wind, we go with the sail. The days where there's no wind, we go with the motor. So we had some tanks of extra diesel that we ended up dumping it into the ship's tank for us to be able to continue our journey. So here we're using a motor, the captain's in the back.
Right.
And then we had a great time to finally be able to see. It was really cool because, we're reaching Cape Town. You could see it on the radar and on the GPS. And then around 9 a.m, they go and they say, "Hey guys, go outside. You can finally see land." So we go there. This part of Cape of Good Hope has very high mountains, so we're able to see them. So this is 9 in the morning, and this picture here, it's probably around, midday. So even though you could see Cape Town, it just kept getting. So the cool thing, we saw a ship leaving when we were leaving Falklands, and then the next time we saw a ship was this day, roughly about 100 miles out to sea. So no other ships. There was no other human beings. I mean, the closest human beings to us were the guys on the space station, whenever they come around. There were 2 ships that came through Bouvet. We never saw them because of the weather, but we saw them on the radar, and one of them actually called on the radio. It's like, what are you guys doing? What's going on? And we, the captain would say, hey, we're radio expedition. We're anchor off. We're okay. No problems. You sure? Yeah, it's all good. All right. I'm continuing to Cape Town. See you there. So there were the 2 of them. But we never saw them. They never came close by. They were just passing by, and then they saw us on the radar, and they just called in and say hello. So after that, we get to Cape Town, and then we're waiting to finally get in. I mean, we had dinner reservations. We had hotel reservations. We were expecting to sleep on a no-moving bed after that. And then
a hot meal and a real bed. Woo.
That's right. And then there's some delays because there was a ship on the berth that we're supposed to dock into. So the port control says, "Oh, Marama, please use anchor outside and wait for a call." Okay, so we go out there. It's like 2:00, 3 in the afternoon, 4, 5, 6. It's like okay. And then the captain was calling port control. It's like, "Are we going in?" And then the wind starts to pick up really bad, and they ended up closing the harbor. So we could not get there. So they told us, wait, and then it's 7:00. And then when I saw Yerman called in and canceled our dinner reservation, moving for the next day, that's when we realized that, Bouvet was still hunting us. And we were going to spend the last evening out at sea anchored. So, it was kind of frustrating, but at least we got to enjoy a good sunset and a night view. So, we're tired. We're really pretty much eating everything that we had, and very low protein diet. And then, so Nina has to figure it out. So what else do we have here? So she did some meal, eggs or something. But, we had trying to play some
nice
psychology in ourselves.
That looks good. That looks real good.
Yeah, that was the meal that we were supposed to eat. But, I don't know what that was below that my phone there, but it was just, it tasted like steak, I'll tell you, trying to play some mind games. So the next day, the 10 in the morning, it's winds calm down, ships start leaving, and the ship that's there leaves, and then we start coming in. This is Japanese ship. We joked that it was a Japan DX club welcoming us. Yeah,
right.
Kind of look at the letters there. It's kind of weird. We're like, oh, the JAs are welcoming us, and that's a view of the downtown Cape Town. They're very beautiful. So after we get there, and then. We talk, we have to do immigration. We go to the passport office. What are you guys doing? When do you leave? All that stuff. And then Nina says, okay, so do you guys want me to cook lunch for you? Or what do you... And we're like, oh, no, thank you, Nina. We're good. No problem. We're going to have to go to the hotel and do our stuff because otherwise you're going to lose our reservation. And then we drop our stuff and we told the driver, hey, take us to Burger King, man. So there's, Adrian there enjoying. There's this big smile on his face. This guy lost like 30 pounds almost. He didn't do quite well with the meals and during the journey, but enjoying that nice Whopper that tastes like.
Is that an Impossible Burger or is that a real burger?
No, this is a real on land burger,
Okay.
Jim, I thought you had a sixth sense. You could spot those.
I'm wondering because he's awful skinny for a meat
I think
eater,
they only
I'm just
eat those
saying.
in America.
Yeah, no. He if you look at the pictures of him before the trip and after, that was he was the one that lost the most weight. We all lost weight. So I lost like 16 pounds.
I was going to say you look a little trimmer there, Otis. I didn't.
The DXPedition diet,
No, I'm already got about 8 pounds back. But we only had one guy that lost 1 pound. And it was because he would drink beer every night, so that was his diet. So he was able to keep his weight, I guess.
That's the ape diet.
Yeah,
beer for health. Yeah,
yeah. So we had our meal. Everybody. This is the first time everybody was quiet because everyone was just chugging that burger and those fries. So after that, you feel like you're finally getting your fat and regular diet back. So we go, but we rush back to the ship. We had to unload. That's Ken on the white shirt. But this time we actually had a big crew with cranes, equipment, and then what took us 3 days to load the ship, it only took us 3 hours to unload the ship. So after this, they would take the equipment up to a warehouse for authorities to do their inspection, and from there they had to load the container that was going to be shipped back to Norway. Of course, they had cranes. They were able to people that would come into the ship and things like that. So they were nice people, local people. We hanging out. They were always asking, hey, you got any vodka? We're like, no, I don't have vodka, but we got couscous, because that's kind of like what we did. So after that, we had a good dinner, and then from there on, we had a real steak that evening. That's Dave, enjoying that very nice. It was just so good, man. That was, and I was worried because you're not eating this stuff. All of a sudden, you got a big piece of meat. Maybe your stomach is not used to it anymore. But we had such a great time, and that evening finally get some wine and drinks, and we're finally able to sleep on a real bed. Then from there on, this is the hotel lobby. You were chilling, enjoying, and then the next evening, some of the operators started to start to go. Look at the beard of Yermund there. He and then of myself.
Oh, that's you.
Everybody,
Look at that. I just realized that I was trying to figure out where you were. Yeah,
that's
look
right.
At that magnificent beard.
Yeah, it grew up pretty nicely. My daughter, she took a picture of me at the airport when I left and when I came back, and you could really see the difference. So that was pretty cool. But we had to. Some other people stayed behind because we had to load the container. So, but then some people had to leave, and actually spent about 4 days there with Axel that was leaving on the last few days. So do some tourism, check out wine country. It's my first time in Cape Town. I don't know when I'm going to be there back, so I took really good advantage of it and enjoyed it. So, from there on, we made our journey home, and then it's post-expedition, QSL, carts. The container already arrived, I believe, about a week ago into Oslo. So it's being unloaded right now and do the final, reassessment and accounting and all that other stuff that has to be done after the expedition. So it was a great trip. We had to be very thankful for the sponsors. Hey, guys like you that supported us as well. The big foundations, Northern California, Indexa, and all these people that actually made it happen. So I want to share this is a little summary of what it was, Bouvet 3Y0J.
Oh, Jesus. I'm getting seasick watching that.
Oscar Hotel 6, Queen United, you are 59 on Bouvet Island, and first QS of yourself.
Oh, just a whole bunch of no.
Dinner.
Nice shot. I like that. that your guide ahead of you there?
No, it's actually Mike. He was
No, I meant
big
the penguin.
bird picture.
I meant the penguin.
Some tall masts on that ship.
That's the day we left Bouvet, actually. Look at the swell.
Jeez. And you guys wouldn't want to take the Zodiac to the beach in that? I don't understand why.
All right.
Otis,
So,
that's great, man.
Thank you, guys. Actually, that was a picture of the guy with the camera was actually Mike, AB5EB. He's actually a bird fan, and he actually was very cool because he took so many pictures. He was trying to get, and he sent some of those pictures to Cornell University, and they replied, and they're like, "Hey, thank you very much for documenting the birds over there. You are the first person to ever have sent pictures while actually standing on Bouvet." So that was a big contribution to that. So very cool. Thank you guys, and I got some time. We hang out and just have fun. Thank you very much, guys. Absolutely.
I think Steve's got a
So
question list for us, right?
Yeah, we've got a list of questions for you. We'll start off with Anthony, N8VOX. Anthony is the Everyday Ham on YouTube. Check out his channel if you haven't seen it already. I don't know what you're doing. He says, was there a film crew capturing any of the expedition? And I think the answer is yes to that one.
Yeah, we had actually Peter. He was when he had some downtime, he would actually film. He's the one that took the drone footage, and also they told us to, everybody has to film with their phone. So at the end, everybody put the equipment. So that's a 3-minute video. There is a 17-minute video with a little bit more detail. You can find it on our YouTube channel as well.
Awesome.
We'll find that link and post it.
Don's got a question for you. He says, what did they do with the equipment after the DXPedition was over? The radios and the boats and the tents and the sleeping bags and all that jazz. Will you sell them, or where's it going?
Yeah, some of the equipment were loans from personal operators. So those are going to go to their owners.
Nice.
And then, some of them were being sold. The antennas were being sold, and the radios. First, we would sell them among the crew, the teammates. Yep. Anything after that, most of the equipment is in Norway, so mostly they'll try to sell it in Norway by itself. So, yeah.
So where would people go to find a list of, on 3yoj.org or whatever it is? There's a link in the description.
It's mostly locally to the local, Norway DX Club or people like that. And then if anything after that, then they'll sell it. But everything's pretty much in Norway. So if you're in the States to get some of that equipment, it will be kind of hard, actually.
Yes, we've got a couple of Norwegian agents in the Toads Discord. There's a link at the top of the chat over there. Maybe you can bum a favor off of one of them.
Yeah, just send an email to Ken, Rune, or any of the guys in Norway, and then they'll be able to tell you what they have, and they have a list of it.
Excellent. And then Don from Australia is asking, is another trip confirmed by anywhere? You mentioned like 25 years or something might be the next trip.
Well, think about that. The last, there were 2 failed attempts, 2 years, 4 years ago and roughly about 3 years ago. And then we were successful. We didn't do that many queues, of course. But anybody else after that, I mean, Bouvet was number 2 most wanted. It will remain number 2 most wanted. So it's open for anybody who wants to try. And now I think it's actually even better because our intel was very limited. We only had the people that were 3Y0 Zulu. They only had pictures, from the ship, so it wasn't really detailed. Plus, the other information that we had was from even older than them. But we documented everything. We know what Cap 3 looks like. We measured. They took pictures. All that stuff is available. So nice. Whoever tries to come back again, then they'll have more information, and hopefully they should be able to make.
You guys got really more information on your failed expedition than has probably been collected about Bouvet.
Yeah.
Since it was really originally discovered.
Yeah, the Norwegian Polar Institute, they want our stuff too. They said, you guys going? Oh, tell us what you find. They don't even know what that side of the island looks like.
That could be Atlantis.
Well, also, it's not a trivial thing by any stretch of the imagination. No. So it's not like you can be like, hey, we're going to go back next Saturday.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean,
get a
you were saying
I'm going to fire up the El Camino. We are going.
You were saying it's like
Yeah.
3 years to plan this thing out, right?
Yeah, I
Right.
mean, they started. Ken started, playing with the idea, and then he researched with people that had been to the island, people that worked for the Norwegian Polar Institute, working on that, and then after that, assembling the team, a strategy, finding Peter, of course, and then Peter had to find a ship that was capable of doing that. So it was a lot of planning. And this ship was in Argentina and Brazil. So we sent Peter twice to Brazil, first to look at it, measure it, come up with a list, repair this, all that kind of stuff. Then he followed up a couple months later. He went back to Brazil, where that's where they keep the ship in the off season, to make sure that those things were met. And then he had an idea of he had to measure. We had to weight everything in Oslo. All that information, Peter had to keep it so that he would be able to know where to put everything.
Well, you also said that you had to go through like physical fitness training. You had to go through like medical training, like first aid training, stuff like that,
Absolutely.
rock climbing.
Yeah, we were required to take everybody rock climbing course. We had four or five that took a glacier course with Peter in Norway. And then we, of course, you have to try to lose some weight, get some strength. I personally, I live in the Caribbean, so it's not really cold out here. So I started taking cold showers for a whole year, just trying to get my temperature used to, the cold weather.
Yeah.
training.
It's a big world of difference.
Wow.
Yeah, and then the other thing was, everybody had to get medical clearance. Go to your checkups. I went to my physician. He referred me to my cardiologist to make sure that was fine. Everybody had to get a dental checkup, which actually we did not have any medical emergencies. We had one dental
Nice.
emergency.
What?
Yeah,
Well,
only
good thing
one
you were
dental
there.
Emergency. Think about that. Yeah, and the good thing was, I had a dental kit just in case. So, when I was attached to the medical team, so there was two physicians and one dentist, and if anything for facial trauma, things like that, I was the one that was supposed to. But luckily I had my kit with me, so the Bouvet
Right.
Dental Clinic was open for business.
Would you have to pull a tooth or
Do you have to
something?
get all Doc
No,
Holliday on
it
him?
was a cracked tooth with half a tooth gone, so we had to patch it. And then I told
Yeah, but
guy,
the supply
hey,
and demand was high.
Yeah.
You were the only
there-
dentist there, so I bet the prices were through the roof.
Son, this
Yeah,
is not
I
on
still-
your
I-
insurance.
Yeah, I still haven't sent my my bill, but yeah.
Yeah, I hope you got the copay at least.
Yeah.
No, but actually, we had to get our medical insurance, international medical insurance, medical evacuation insurance. That's some of the expenses that we had to take as a participant. It's a big endeavor. I mean, you have to think about. We had we had a document about 20 pages, which was our contingency plan. So it basically says, if this happens, we do this. If this happens, we do that. So if somebody falls, we do this. If somebody's throwing up, we do this. So and if the antenna breaks, we do this. If antenna falls and hits somebody, we do this. So we thought about every potential scenario that could happen, so that we had a plan for it. Because imagine you're there in the middle of nowhere, a little cut, and you cannot
Sure,
get it
bacteria and
stitched.
all that stuff.
Hey, you could
Yeah.
die. You're
Right.
not gonna make it. Yeah.
Right. So you mentioned a couple of times that the expedition didn't go as planned, or you didn't make a whole lot of QSOs. But in your opening slide, didn't this expedition make the most amount of QSOs out of all of them?
No, the one was 1989. They made 49,000.
Oh,
Ours
okay.
is 18,000.
Yeah.
18,000.
This is
Okay.
the first private expedition that's successful, meaning that's not government related. We did not get on a government
Right.
ship. None of that stuff. I think that's an achievement there.
Some
Okay.
folks
I
were
mean, you guys
asking
did a
in the-
fantastic job.
Yeah, some folks were asking in the chat, on this side of the expedition, there was a lot of folks who didn't know how to operate split, or they didn't know how. Some folks were intentionally using fake call signs. I think some folks even copied your call sign and stuff like that. Were you aware that stuff was going on, or?
Yes, we had Starlink on the ship, so we were connected to the outside world. We were getting reports from our pilots via email, via WhatsApp, all that stuff. So we're looking at the cluster, we're looking at the comments, Facebook, all that stuff. We were aware of that. We were relaying it over the VHF to the guys on the island. And we did get some problems. For example, we had planned to do CW and phone, but we had capabilities to do FT8, but not with the FT8 radios that we originally planned for, without the time syncing with the satellite, none of that. So we ended up, our clocks were off. So we had to really struggle. It took us 2 or 3 days till we finally realized that, we were off, but the guys on the island had no idea. So at least some of the operators, they were able to figure it out. They were able to adjust their clocks and make the queues in an FT8. DQRM, I mean, it was. I mean, I understand the frustration of the people. The expectancy was really high. I mean, we should have done at least 100 queues. Hey, if we would have landed everything, hey, we could have made 150,000 queues, but it was impossible.
Right.
I mean, with the way we are, the way the swells. I mean, some people were saying, hey, bring a helicopter or whatever. Even with a helicopter, you could not.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think
I'm not
the
riding
thing
in
is that
no.
a lot of people's perspective is jaded, right? I mean, you guys are literally risking your lives and your health, and somebody sitting in their basement eating Cheetos is upset that they're not getting the QSO that they want to get, which is just
It's almost like they're YouTubers, Ape.
right. It's unbelievable.
I was just shocked at how shitty people acted over, the whole thing.
Some people's kids, man. Some people's kids.
I'm like, I couldn't believe that.
It's kind of. I mean, this is a hobby. I mean, come on, it's not like this is real life. Come on, so some people were really desperate. We did say, hey, we're gonna operate. It's gonna be a small scale operation. I mean, we couldn't give you the details, but we would say if somebody asked me, I would say, hey, dude, don't get off that chair till you work Bouvet. And then we try to think about other people. Hey, you got Bouvet already? It's an all-time new one. Okay, you're done. But we wanted to limit the bands so we'll prevent the band chasers from plugging on the bands, so that we'll give a chance to the other people. I think it worked because half of our QSOs were unique, so I think we were successful that way. But it was very hard, and it's kind of like a reflection of society. Hey, if I cannot get Bouvet, then I'm going to prevent you from getting Bouvet. So it's like, come on, man. It's like it's a game.
Like why? Why would somebody?
Why you do that? Yeah.
And not to diminish the whole DXPedition, because what you guys did is batshit crazy, good for you, and the journey of a lifetime, really, honestly. If you got to go, so awesome. But I mean, if I didn't get a Bouvet QSO, has it affected me? No, I'm sad I didn't get it. Okay, I'll find something to make me happy. Maybe a cheeseburger.
Go buy a beer with that.
This one's for Otis.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean,
so you were talking about the.
I'm sorry. I was just amazed at the number of really butthurt, whiny people when you guys had to scale down. And I'm not even talking about the jerks who were doing the QRM and the pirates and all that.
Yep.
Just the whining from a lot of people that it was like you personally made sure they couldn't get a QSO to Bouvet. And
we get to a
sad
point
hams.
after the first 4 guys return to the ship where we're thinking, okay, the options are scale down operation or we go home. So activate or no activation. Okay, so we activated the operation.
Yeah.
So that's successful. And then we got 8,000 uniques. A lot of people happy. I mean, we got some emails we had a gentleman. I mean, I don't remember the calls right now, from Arizona, I think. And then he said, I remember you guys saying that you could hear us better than we could hear you. So I was there and I heard that. So I found the frequency. I called. I got you in the log. And after 50 years of DX chasing, I finally got them all. You get that message on your phone on the ship when the guys are returning. They're all tired. They're like, let's open up another beer for this guy. That's why we do this sort of things. That's why we do this crazy stuff. And that's what makes us happy. I mean, even though, there's haters and stuff. Hey, guys, go to Bouvet, do it yourself. I mean, come on. It's not like this is you get on a plane to get there.
Yeah, nobody's stopping you. So you mentioned you were talking about FT8 and time sync issues. How did you actually fix the clock when it came time to fixing the clock?
Yes, so there's some software that's able to hear your signals and adjust to that. JT Sync, I think it's the name.
JT Sync, yep.
I'm not really techie in that sense. So we're able to use that, and then so we're hearing your signals, and then we try to adjust that way. And then the other option was, that was exactly it. So once we figure it out, we made a public announcement. Hey, we're running through this issue, and then we're able to get it. Another thing that was unfortunate, since we were really low scale, we had no way to upload the logs during the operation. So would we have been able to, put the logs up? Then a lot of people would not have kept trying and making dupes to make sure that we're there.
Right.
Because, you hear a big signal, it might be a pirate you're working, might not be really us. And then the other thing that worked out well was, once the people on the island were going to change, start calling on a new frequency, they'll send it over to the radio to the ship. would put it on the cluster, so you'd know that that was a real. If there was a post for my call sign during the operation, it was a real spot. It wasn't a pirate.
Nice. So Ryan's asking, how was the stargazing while you were out there?
Well, I'm telling you, Bouvet, none. All windy and cloudy.
Clouds.
Overcast, yeah.
Yeah, but we were sailing down the first maybe 5 days of our sail. It was gorgeous. I remember seeing the Southern Cross. I apologize. So I'm sailing there. We still had some Starlink, and I have a good friend he was a sailor back home. He helped me out with some training and stuff. And then he said, "Have you seen the Southern Cross?" I'm like, "What's the Southern Cross?" So go to internet, look it up, and then was able to see it. So that was actually what guided a lot of sailors back in the day. So it's something that you don't see on this side of the world. So that was the first time I saw it in my life, and probably going to be the last time.
Excellent. There's some memories there.
Oh, yeah.
We got one from Lee. Lee says, how high were the tides?
Well, the least recorded, probably 10 feet. The most, 30 feet, maybe 25 feet.
So 30 feet would have been 30 feet would have been no landing at all.
Exactly. No, we cannot. No, we stay put. Guys in the island, we can't pick you up. But if the winds were right, coming from the northwest, you get the island. Sometimes it would be really rocky on the ship, and then when you got up on the mountain, it was calm because you had the big mountain protecting you from the ship. But there was sometimes the other way around where the ship was fine. But when you get on the little Sodia, you try to go to the beach, check out the beach, and the guys from the island would say, "Hey, the beach is not safe. We can't land today." So we had to figure out a way. So the second attempt was actually Peter set up the buoy system. So he anchored off the rocks, had a line all the way out, maybe about 50 feet, maybe 100 feet out to the water, and then there was a buoy there with an anchor. So you would get to that point, you would tie yourself to the rope, and then you would, kind of like.
That was that anchor system you showed in your video. Yeah.
Yeah, that was the one you see the guys pulling. They're all like pulling a loop. So the idea was, hey, Peter would go with the stuff, put the equipment, clamp to that, and then they will pull it inwards with that. So we had to do it that way to get all the equipment and the people in. Then the setup of the camp, all that other stuff, and then the return was actually a little bit trickier. Because he would go to that buoy, set up a rope, start to come backwards, and then what he would do is, as you hit the surf, you pull the motor up, and then the surf would actually get you to the beach. He would throw a rope to the guys in the land, and then will pull you into the beach. Hey, get off. Next guy goes in, equipment exchange. Okay, you start pulling yourself out of the surf to the buoy. Once you're safe, he put the motor and crank it, and then go back to the ship and do the exchange.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty wild.
Excellent. So we got a question.
Go ahead, Steve.
Go ahead, Jim. I was going to say, we have a question.
I'm shutting up.
Thump's asking, did you take DX Commander's DXPedition antenna on your DXPedition, or just tell us about all the antennas you brought and the radios too?
Yes. We originally planned for Innov antennas, Yagis. So we had Yagis for 10 to 20. Then 30 and 40 were supposed to be verticals. And then 80 and 160 were also big verticals. We also had spare wires, spare parts, all that kind of stuff. At the end of the day, we only used dipoles for 10 to 20 and then 30-meter vertical. So no 40 meters, 80 or 160. Actually, the antenna, the 160 antenna was WD5COV, Dave's design. He called it the Top Band Express. It was top loaded, had some, so he's we brought it in. He wasn't happy that we couldn't really use it, but he had tested it, and it's, I'm sure that antenna is going to go on more DXPeditions in the future.
Don tried on his 2-meter HT. Don, how successful was that?
Did that work out for you, son?
Actually, I did have a QSO with Bouvet. I was maritime mobile at the ship, so I used the VHF, and I called the guys on the island. So that kind of counts, I guess.
It does, yeah.
Yeah.
And then our last question that we have right now is Ed. Ed wants to know if you guys got any pics of the Southern Cross.
Man, I tried to take one on my phone, and I just couldn't do it. And then it was at night, so I probably...
Yeah, it's hard.
Yeah, it's hard. Mike had the big camera with the big lens that you saw in the pictures, but he was sleeping or he wasn't... He's not into stars, I guess. He was into birds. So he did... Actually, we were joking with him. He's like, so after we get to Cape Town, I hang out with him. He's like, let's go to the botanical gardens in Cape Town. Okay, we got some time. We go there, and then he started pictures, and we walked around the park and all that. So at the end of the trip, I'm like, hey, Mike, how many DXCCs did you work on birds? And he's like, Otis, I'm around 92, but I'm gonna do the log checking, and then maybe I could get the whole DXCC. So trying to get 100 different species of birds. Yeah.
Nice.
So I think he got it. I don't know yet. I gotta check with him if he actually did after the log check and all that.
And Tom's saying, we got some new questions coming in. Tom's saying, what would you do differently if you had another chance?
Oh, this is not my personal opinion. Now, what I would think would be to do a both helicopter and Zodiac attempt at the same time. So you have some redundancy. For example, there were times where the seas were rough, but the winds were okay. Maybe you could use the helicopter to bring supplies. The original plan from 3Y0Z was to use the helicopter to land on the glacier and set up camp there. But Cap Fie would be the best spot. There is a spot there on the mountain where you can actually land a helicopter. So you have some redundancy. The other option would be to have drones. We're there on the heat of the battle, and people were saying, why don't you use a drone? I'm like, great, okay, we have one, but hey, Captain, can we use it to at least get the USB stick and bring the log in? And he's like, no, it's not too safe. But there's some drones that can carry stuff, 20-pound, 30-pound stuff. So maybe with that as a redundancy, so in case you can't really fly, hey, maybe you can bring the log in, or maybe you can bring a piece of wire or a computer or whatever, So
I had read that you guys were swimming here onto the beach.
Yeah. What's that? What's the question?
I was saying Amazon doesn't deliver there, so you.
No, we tried Prime, but Prime is out of the limit. Yeah, sorry about that.
Prime's still 6 weeks.
Yeah, pretty cool. We had Starlink while we were at the island, which was amazing. Now think about this: we were, we were tweeting, and we had some contact with Starlink upper management, and we had a proposal for them, from a year ago, basically saying, "Hey, give us Starlink, and we're gonna test it on the world's remotest island. So if you can give internet to there, you can give internet to the world. I mean, how much more can you need?" So we weren't really sure if we're gonna have Starlink or not. So we go there, and then we set it up, and it was live. So I don't know if they actually heard us or it just happens to be. Now, if you look at Starlink's map, they say that Bouvet will have service in Q1 of 2023, which is when we're going. So we're like, hey, are you going to do it in January or are you going to do it in March? Yeah. So they did have service. It was being routed through Chile, actually. So our signal will go up to satellite, and then it will go down to a gateway in Chile. So that was really cool. At least being connected, we're able to do live interviews, keep in touch with the family, see what's going on out in the world. And that was really, really cool. I thank you, Elon Musk, if you're hearing this.
He's a watcher. Cool. He's a big fan.
He's a big fan
for Coffee and Ham Radio. I really appreciated what you did to, he had to switch some satellites just for us. So that was pretty cool. And then I remember I had friends that they do like a weekly event, kind of like this show. And then I showed up from Bouvet, and I'm showing you that live picture of the island with my phone. That was pretty cool. So.
Yeah, wow. Yeah. Awesome. So power, you mentioned
we had a sorry to interrupt. We had a secret plan. If we were originally thinking if we could get Starlink to the island, we would have done remote operation. So if we would have put airtime, of course, that's a big sponsorship or whatever. There's a lot of money. So, but of course, we had to scale down. We couldn't do it. So I think that the future expeditions will kind of go like that, and then be a lot more interactive than they've been in the past. So you should expect to see more interaction. Maybe you could do a live show like this while an expedition is going on. Those sort of things. So I think that's great. Yep.
So you were talking about power. You said you had some generators. What other kind of power sources and batteries? Do you have solar, things like that?
No, we had some emergency solar stuff. We had power banks, and then the idea was to use a diesel generator. Now here's the problem. We were originally going to use the Yanmar, which were weighing about maybe 150 pounds each. So there was a problem with the manufacturer in Italy. It wasn't working. So at some point, the deadline for the container is coming up. So the team decided to try to get the next smallest diesel generator possible, which was 250 pounds. So we ended up buying 4 of them, 3 and then 1 spare. And then, it was hard, just the logistics to be able to get it into the Zodiac, to bring it in on that condition. And then after the operation to bring it back. Then, we didn't want to leave it in the island, of course. We got to protect the island. It's a natural reserve. So I think that was a big challenge. But then we had the little backup generator, which was for tools and for drills and stuff like that. And that ended up being the game changer. So future expeditions, just use the little gasoline ones, which is another problem. I mean, no captain will want you to bring gas on his ship. It's flammable.
Sure.
So that's a potential risk. So the idea would be to have those little generators with propane tanks or whatever, natural gas, whatever it works, and then use that and have a couple of them. And then with a couple of them, you tighten up on a circuit, and then you're able to get enough power to be able to run generators and regular radios. So I think that those are some of the highlights that would actually be able to improve. And then, hey, whoever comes next, whether it's us again or whatever other group, I mean, it should be looking a lot better, and we could finally, be able to have a 100,000 plus Q operation from Bouvet.
I had read, and we got a question from Jason, but he can wait. I had read that you guys were having to swim gear to shore because of the weather.
Yes.
Like Otis in a suit swimming a generator. Is that what I'm?
No. You send Otis first, okay, and then you tie it to the rope that Otis, and you saw the picture of the 4 guys walking around like that. And
Yeah.
that's what they're doing. They're pulling gear in.
Okay.
So they're pulling
Okay.
antennas in. They're pulling the generator. We had to put it in a Hyperland bag, nicely
Right.
watertight. We had to stuff it with the antennas. Actually, they were on the ski bags. We'd stuff it with bubble wrap to make it float. So that way you clamp that. No, there was a lot of imagination. A lot of it came from Peter. I mean, he was the one that. He was like antenna. He's a Polish guy. He's like antenna. Will that float? I don't know. Okay, put bubble wrap. Okay, so put bubble wrap. What do we do now, Peter? Go test it. Okay, so we throw it overboard. Peter, it floats. Very good. Okay, check that.
That's kind of a
It sinks, no more
test
antenna.
right there.
yeah. Imagine that. You see the antenna. It's like,
Gone.
Nobody thought about that. Yeah, but
That didn't
he
work,
knows his
Peter.
stuff.
What's the next plan?
Yeah.
We're running out of
Yeah,
antennas.
Peter, we lost a 30-meter antenna. What do we do now? It's
I
like,
just wanted
don't know.
to find out what was meant by that, because I somebody had said that, or it was on your website or something.
Yeah, there's
that you
a
guys were
video
swimming
on-
gear, and I'm like, I'm trying to picture Otis with like a big old Honda generator strapped to his back. Swim
Yeah.
faster, Otis, or you're gonna sink.
No, but it was with the rope system, and it was staged. First run
Right.
we do this, and he goes. We had like our 2 toughest guys. They would go first. The head, big guys.
So that's why
Okay,
you
and
were
the next
first.
run-
Yeah.
No. I didn't get to go on that first run. I was in charge of the ship.
Yeah,
while
Otis
we were
is the
out, and then-
dentist. Dentist is gonna stay back just in case.
Yeah, because a tooth is broken or something. But the thing was like, so it was staged like that, and the idea was, okay, guys on the ship, we know the list of what's coming, so we prepped it. So when the Zodiac comes along, we load it, tie it, and then he goes. So we actually, when we did that landing, we were an hour ahead of schedule. So it worked out pretty well. There was short window of weather opening, so we took advantage of it. And then after that, it was okay. You guys are gone. Then the weather deteriorated. And then wind, rain, you could not really see from the ship. You could not see them. And then I remember it was actually one of the I got a call from Rune on the VHF. It's like, hey Otis, do you know where the other tent is? The frame. I'm like, okay, let me look at that. Okay, item number, blah 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 blah. Okay, it's below the first bathroom on the upper deck. That's okay. I'm like, yes, Rune,
Nice.
we got it. Okay, we have a problem. What's going on? The frame is broken. What do you mean? Yeah, the wind's too hard and it broke. Okay, I already see the captain, tying down the Zodiac. So I know that he's not going to say the weather's too bad. He's not going to put it on again and try to land it. So he ended up, Peter, he had some of the climbing equipment, and he was able to put a piece of climbing gear, whatever, and he was able to fix it. And then they were able to secure the tent and all that. So even, in the middle of the island, this guy had to think about how to fix it and how to improvise to be able to keep the operation going. And it's like, we'll tie the ropes. And it's like, that's not good. That is, I don't know if I can curse here, but he's like, that is beep, And we're like, okay, you do it, man. I'm just a radio guy. I'm like, dude, I'm a dentist. Come on, man. I'm not a strapper. He's like, you don't go. I'll fix it. And so he would do it, and he would do it right. And then he taught us how to do it. So I said that I earned a doctorate in strapping. I see those straps now, and I dream about the straps. I'm traumatized after that. And then I get to strap here now at home, and I'm like, I know how to do strapping now, correct? I mean, you would strap something, he would come, he would check it around. Is this strap? Is this good? I'm like, no, I don't know.
Sir, no, sir.
This is how you do it. And then he would strap it, and it's like, you have to make sure it's good, because if it starts to move while we're on the sea, it's already too late. You're not gonna be able to strap it, so we gotta make sure that thing is really, really, really tight. So it worked out well.
Excellent.
There was a question on the about the logistics.
Yeah. Did you guys have a consultant?
Yes. No, we actually used Yerman. Yerman is one of the Norwegian guys. He owns a fishing company out of Norway. So he has ships. He knows logistics. I mean, he can get anything anywhere. So he got the storage facility at the airport in Oslo, so that we were able to do our staging. He hired the companies, the transportation. I mean, everything. I mean, that guy was amazing. I mean, and the thing here is, like, everybody brings some value to the operation. The physicians, the engineers, and we had this logistics guy, which is, I mean, he knew his stuff. I mean, but he uses, he has to ship. He sends fish from Norway, fast anywhere in the world. So he knows how to do that.
Nice.
But we did not get to eat the Norwegian fish while we were at the Bouvet. So, that one that's a good recommendation for him next time.
So Don's asking, did you have satellite phones as backup?
Absolutely. We had 2 satellite phones. We had the ICOM HT satellite system, uses the Radium system. We had Starlink. And we had 2 terminals for data. And we had a small Garmin texting unit.
Excellent.
So we had plus the ship had its own other satellite phones and all that stuff. So we had plenty of communication.
Backups for your backups.
That's
and then
right.
Paul, Ham Radio Pen Pals with Paul, is saying, where did you use the toilet paper? Paul, if you don't know how to use toilet paper at your age, my friend. Right.
Yeah, the answer is on our back, right down there. Yeah. But no, actually, we plenty of toilet paper. We bought a lot of it. Actually, we had to, thinking about toilet. They set up. There's camp you said at the tent, but there was a little crevice. A little bit, like, I don't know, 20 feet walking. That's where they set up the toilet. So the toilet, part of it being a reserve is that everything that you bring into the island, you have to bring it back. So all the toilet stuff that you do in the toilet, we had a way to dispose of it. We had the extra bags, we had some chemicals to solidify it. And then with all that stuff, we had to take that back into the ship for proper disposal. We could not dump it on the island or bury it or anything like that.
Take in and take out everything.
That's right.
So
see, we want to make it right
because
we don't want. I'm sorry. We want to make it right because if we don't follow the rules, we're not going to get permission in the future.
Right.
And then Bouvet is going to be really high up on the DXCC. So we got to make sure when you go to these places, that's everything. You have to be very strict about that.
Oh yeah.
Sorry, Jim.
No, that's fine. Leave it cleaner than when you got it. My question was going back more to the logistics of the whole bathroom sitch. So was it enclosed?
No, man.
Or you had to drop your cold suit to go. Oh my Lord!
Is it wilderness?
Yeah, you wear your coat. You take off your bottoms or whatever, and then.
So there's a lot of shrinkage.
Yeah, that was the only seat on the island. I mean, think about that. If you wanted to sit down on a chair, you have to go to the toilet.
Yeah, the bathroom. Okay.
Yeah.
So some break, I'll be back.
All them OMs and them jerks that are complaining about it. It's like, son, you go do this. Yeah.
Yep. Exactly.
Oh my God.
No,
I think honestly, I think your weather was warmer than mine was, though. So I don't want to hear it.
Probably was.
Probably, yeah. But you could go to the bathroom inside your house, not outside. But
I could, but I chose not to. Yeah.
He prefers outside.
I do.
Part of the design, we were supposed to have a tent for the toilet, and the problem with that, it was we're going lightweight, so we're not gonna bring the tent for the toilet. It's like we that's part of the things that we had to cut when we did our ration.
Decisions were made.
Well, it's like being one with nature, right? I mean,
that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, did you pre-warm the seat at least? I mean, was there electric seat warmer there? I'd be worried something gets stuck to it.
Dude, the only electricity was for the radios. So if you wanted to, you had to go. Yeah,
right.
That's when your cold weather training, helps a lot. but we had to do that, and then we it was part of the game. It's part of the things that you have to do to make it work. So it's quite a trip. Quite an adventure. I'll tell you that.
See, I think your trip, Otis, is the definition of what a DXPedition should be. Not I'm going to work my beach house in Costa Rica or someplace with civilization.
Well, it's that's why Bouvet is number 2 most wanted. I mean, compared
Number
to
1 is Antarctica.
No, number 1 is North Korea. Now,
North Korea,
North Korea, you can get on a plane to get there. The problem is getting the permit.
Right.
Okay. So Bouvet getting the permit, it's not that difficult. The problem is the logistics. So if you look at the top 10 DXCCs, Bouvet is the only one where getting a permit, it's not the problem. It's the logistics. All of the other 10, the problem is, whoever gives the permit that they don't want to give you the permit. That's the challenge of it.
Right. Okay. North Korea. Yeah, I'll pass. I'll take a hard pass on that one too.
Yeah. North Korea. I mean, if you can get the permit, I mean, of course, it's extremely difficult. That's why it's number 1. But if you can get the permit to operate, I mean, the logistics is not that complicated. Bring your stuff to China and then fly from China over, and then, turn on the radio and operate. That's it.
Whole different kind of logistical problem.
That's right. Yep. Exactly. Yeah, I wouldn't want to get political or anything like that. So
right.
Yeah. But it's
Otis, any parting thoughts?
You were saying, Jim, that this is what the expedition should be. This is what an extreme expedition should be.
Yeah.
That's why it's number 2. It's hard. And then, I really think that there will be other trips to come, and then it's just a matter of making it and try to. There's some technology that's being used. There's what they call RIB, which is rig in a box. And that's being actually tested right now in the expedition. So it's like you put the equipment on the island, and then you operate remote from the ship. So those are technologies that are coming.
Oh, that's cheating.
No, it's still there, but I don't think that's applicable to Bouvet yet. I mean, that's more for places where the weather might be a little bit better. But listen, Bouvet's still up there for grabs. Anybody that wants to go, hey, you can Google Norwegian Polar Institute and get permission. Good luck with that. And then, thank you guys, Abe, Jim, Theo, and the rest of the gang here, and everybody that supported us. I mean, this is being the trip of a lifetime for myself, and it's something that we remember. There is more people that have been to the space than have been to Bouvet. I'm one of the lucky ones. When you look at the world's most traveled website, so people you put where you've been traveled. There was only 72 people that have registered themselves. They actually set foot on Bouvet. We added another 12 to the list. So we're really privileged. Yeah, and I'm personally myself. It's a personal achievement. I'm the first person from Puerto Rico to go to Bouvet, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to be the last one.
I was going to say you're the only person from Puerto Rico that's gone to Bouvet at this point.
Yeah. And I'm pretty sure I'm going to be the last one on there, unless there's another crazy ham.
I feel bad. I feel bad for you, especially Otis, because I mean it gets cold here in Alabama for like 3 or 4 days, but I mean, son, you're in Puerto Rico and then you go down there. Oh my God.
That's why I had to test. I mean, I went to Svalbard in April to test the gear. Yeah. I mean, 50 degrees I could take no problem. 40 it starts to get chilly. 30s I need to cover. Anything below that.
What was your daily? Do you have an average ambient air temp while you guys were there?
And on the island, it probably 30s, like
30 Fahrenheit.
30 Fahrenheit.
Yeah.
So
okay.
Yeah, about 30. So with the wind chill, 20s, teens.
Yeah.
I think that last day it might have been probably hitting close to the low 40s, maybe because plus you're wearing all the suit. You're exercising, so you're warm as hell. I mean, I was like covering the whole thing trying to breathe. So, but then you sit down on the beach, and then you start to get cold again. You have to tie it up. Inside the ship, it was cold, maybe 50s, 60s, even though we had heating. One of the nights, I remember the boiler turned off, and then we wake up the next morning. We're, hey, Captain, what happened? It's like I woke up at 3 a.m. It was like 5 degrees inside. Celsius, of course. It's like 38 or whatever.
Right.
So we were complaining. I said, yeah, I remember I woke up, and then he had to go in. He turned it on, fixed it, whatever, and took care of that. So it's quite a challenging experience. I'm telling you, this is a trip of my lifetime. I'm really fortunate to be part of it, and I really appreciate the team leaders for thinking about me and inviting me for this once in a lifetime trip, essentially. So.
Well, that's awesome, Otis. Thanks again. This has been a fantastic
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
video.
Otis.
And we appreciate you coming back to follow up after the last
Absolutely,
one.
man. Anytime. And then whenever we're ready for the next one, then
Give us a
I'll
call.
make sure to give you a call or send you an email.
When you
Absolutely.
guys are going to Korea, North Korea,
When? I don't know. We're still finishing up this one. It'll be a while. But actually, some guys
Nice.
were a couple years ago. The Intrepid DX group, some of the guys from Paul and 6PSC, they were planning a North Korea trip, and they already had to, they were doing some serious logistics and serious talks. And then when it get to the time, then it just tore apart, and that was unfortunate. That they originally planned to be a full 4 weeks of operation from North Korea, but that's sad that it didn't happen. So, back to square one, and things will have to get fixed. So, we'll see how it happens. Yeah. So, thank you guys. I'll hopefully see some of you guys in Dayton. I'll
we'll be there.
Wednesday
We'll
night.
be there. We will
Yeah,
all
I'll
be
get there
there.
Wednesday. I gotta leave Saturday around midday. I got some other commitments to go to, but definitely looking to share more experiences, have a couple cold beers, and have a great time. Finally, with a bunch of good people at Dayton. So really looking forward
That'd
to
be
this.
great. Well, thanks again.
All
And
right,
thanks to
folks.
everybody in the chat for playing along.
Yeah. Clicking the button now. See y'all Thursday.
Otis, thank you very much. Good
Take
show.
care, my friend. Have a good one. See you, Dayton.